This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Aboam, Alichtigen Lag Ba'omer. We are continuing in Siman Lamed Vav Mishna Berura Daf Hashavuah. We're up to Siman Lamed Vav Seif Gimel. Siman Lamed Vav Seif Gimel. Here we go. Tzarech L'tayeg Sha'anei's gates. We have to mark, we have to denote the letters Shin Ayin Tes Nun Zayin Gimel Tzadi. The Hasoifrim Nohagu, the Tayig Oisias Acheres. The Soifrim have a custom to mark other letters. If you are not Metayeg Sha'anis Getz, it's not pasal. Now this is a very relevant shaila. Even in our own shul, right now we have two Sifrei Torah. Somebody donated a brand new one, someone from the neighborhood. Actually, it's quite a miraculous story. But when we started off our minyan, so we first had a very, very old Sefer Torah. There were always questions about it. But somebody in the neighborhood was making bar mitzvah. They wrote a Sefer Torah for the bar mitzvah, and they didn't know where to give it. And they heard there's one shul there where there's no talking, so they donated the Sefer Torah to our shul, which is very nice. And then my grandfather brought over from the Holocaust a very, very big, heavy, and old Sefer Torah, and that's our second Sefer Torah. Okay, so we usually use this new one. This past Shabbos, the person who donated the new one, he had a family. Simcha, he had to take his, so we were left with my grandfather's. So my grandfather's, it's a very nice ksav. It's dark, but because it's old, the tagim are very faded. One time someone got an aliyah, and he said, well, he stopped. He couldn't see the tagim. And we can't see this. So it's still kosher, isn't it? Well, that's what the Mechaber says. Mechaber says, "Then loy tieg afilu shanas gates loy pasal." If you're not metayig at all, you never wrote them in the first place, it's not possible. If you look in the Mishna Berura of Katan Tezvav, he brings the Bach pasals. And the Gra is also machmer. So now the question is a very interesting question. Let's say on a Yom Tov we have to take out two Sifrei Torah. Are you okay? We understand the Mechaber says it's okay, but there are poskim who pasal. Should you take out two Sifrei Torah, one of them not having tagim, or maybe just roll the first Sefer? Why get involved in issues? That's going to be a very important question, because this is very common actually. If you look at, nowadays there are a lot of new Sifrei Torah, but if you ever come across an aged Sefer Torah, the tagim are, you're not going to have every tag. Okay, that's all. We'll probably see that more tomorrow. Today, let's see Sif Katon Yud Beis. L'tayeg. Afilu the Sefer Torah. Even in a Sefer Torah, v'kosh kem tefillin and mezuzahs, meaning this is not just for tefillin and mezuzahs, there's even a Sefer Torah. V'atagim ha'elohim shloisha tagin ketanim v'dakim kechud hasara. These are 3 crowns, like a hair's breadth, standing. Zekufas al elo oisia, standing on these letters. They're very thin. Echad miyamin, ve'echad mismal, ve'echad milmala. One. So the first opinion is Aleph. Look in this diagram. Let's make it bigger. Yeah, good. The first opinion is one on the right side, one on the left side, and one above. I don't think most Sifrei Torah do it that way. I don't think so. Yeah, they're both above. Meaning this opinion is they're not both above. One's coming out of the right side, one is coming out of the left side. Who called tag v'tag. Each tag is like a thread. This is the minhag in our lands. So the first opinion is just 3 lines. I don't think that's what most Seifrim do. However, it's better to do each one like a Zayin, like in this diagram over here, Gimel. But they should be small and very thin. Shatn is gates. So Shin Ayin Tes Nun Zayin Gimel Tzadi. Now, what's interesting is the tzadi is a final tzadi, what we call tzadi pshuta, and the nun here is a nun kefufa. So it says in Mishna Berura, "V'adin tzadi kefufa v'nun pshuta," meaning both types of tzadis and both types of zayins. Okay, you have like this. So even though in the Shatnez Gates mnemonic, it's a tzadi zekufa, tzadi pshuta, but it's also a tzadi kefufa. And likewise, we have not only a nun kefufa, but a nun pshuta as well. Vim hoisef hasevelas tag and chutz me'os shanazes v'chutz me'ilam miskon b'torah v'lo shenagu behem ha'soifrim lo ike. If the sofer is going on a tagim spree, he puts on the pay and the reish and whatever he does, it's not ma'akib. Ach b'tanai shiur mechubarim la'is, so long as it's attached to a letter. Avlam eino mechubar, but if it's not attached to yesh l'mochkai, you got to erase it. Like for example, I don't know what. I don't know what he's talking about. I guess it's not attached. It's not attached. I'm just trying to find the corresponding diagram. But even if it's in the, let's say he decided to make tagim on the Yud Kei Vav Kei, so and it's not attached, you got to erase it. It's not a good idea to start adding tagim. The tiyug shoshan gates hu b'shin al roish hashlishi. Interesting. On the shin, it's on the third leg. See where my icon is? Shal ois uva ayin, and on the ayin, v'tes v'tzadi al roish hasmali. So the ayin tes and sadi. Here the ayin. Here's the tes. Here's the sadi. It's on the left arm, the left head. V'yad bikon be'amtziusay loy b'soifa. You should attach it in the middle, not on the end. Here in the middle of the letter, not on the end of the letter. Let's see in Ice 4. Like here, in the middle, not on the end. Fine. Kasu ha'achroinim. B'shem tshuvas harama, sheyizoher sheyu hatagim nifradim kolecha mechavera. The tagim should be distinct, separate. Kedei shelo rak ketmunas ziyunim shall look like zayins v'loy ka'ayinin v'shinin l'kuvahu. It's going to be ma'akev. Here, if you do like this in diagram 5 ois beis or diagram 5 ois gimel, it can look like an ayin or a shin. You don't want the tagim to be coming out of the same branch. Fine. They have to be touching the actual letter. Otherwise they're puzzle, like over here in 6 bays where they're coming out of the shin, but they're not touching, it's puzzle. So what do you mean? How could it be puzzle? But the Mechaber says you don't even have to make them in the first place. So how could they be puzzle if they're not touching, right? You hear the kasha. Mechaber says you don't need tagim. So what's wrong with tagim that are not touching? This is worse. It's like you have an extra letter in the middle of the lines. So now, Rabbi say that could be the problem with the rubbed out tagim, because it's one thing if you don't see them, but what if they're not attached anymore? So we'll have to see what if they became disattached after the fact. That's very common. That's puzzle. That's why you might not, it might not be kedai to even use the old sefer. Wow. And the Adaframs are not going to help if you're going to sort of just extend the line so you now attach it to the letter. Rak tzarich legoyram lekos, you have to scrape it and write it again. Rakim yadinan shekason mumcha. Now the Yad Ephraim is saying it's not going to help if you draw it, but you're going to have to scrape and write it again. Now that's talking about where it was not written correctly to begin with. Then it will not help to attach it to the letter. Rakim yadinon shekason mumcha. If you know that a mumcha wrote it, talinan, you could assume shenifran achar shenechdaf, it became disconnected after it was written. Umachshirin b'hamshacha el ha'os, and we're machshir it by connecting it to the letter. So apparently it does help to connect it, provided that it was once connected. But if it was never connected, you can't, it's not going to help to connect it. Now, the Halavushe Srod Kasa, Lavushe Srod writes, the Haramas Virule, that the Rama Mipano Zulagara Davrazame Chesroin Hakafas Kavil. This is no worse than if you're lacking being encircled by parchment. That it's only a problem in the beginning, but if that happened after the fact, it's not a problem. If, let's say, the Tagim became disattached after it was written kosher, beloy tikkun klal, then it's kosher without any fixing. Meaning, the shaila is whether it will help to fix it. If it was never written good to begin with, it will not help to fix it. But what if it became disattached after? So the first daya is you got to fix it. Lavushe Srod brings from Ramami Pano that if it was just like Mukaf Gavil is only needed, is only requirement in the initial writing, but if it became Einoi Mukaf Gavil, it's not a problem. So too, regarding the Tagim being connected to letters, that's only an issue in the beginning. But if it became disattached after, it's kosher without tikkun at all. Mamelo dvarav, im lo hayu noigim mitchilas haksiva. Then mahani al kaponim tikkun. Then, according to Ramah, if it was not attached to begin with, it will help to fix it. Just like regarding hakafas gavil, you could just fix it. You don't have to rewrite it, because the Ramami Pano is comparing it to the din of hakafas gavil. That just like hakafas gavil is only needed initially, and it's not needed after the fact. Likewise, just like by hakafas gavil, it helps to fix it after the fact. It will help over here also. You should be machmer like the Yad Ephraim, seemingly that A, if it wasn't written to begin correctly to begin with, you cannot fix it, and B, if it became disattached after the fact, you gotta fix it. So in other words, the Chachila, the Mishna Berura would say, don't take out a Sefer Torah that the Tagim are not connected. Okay, this is important halacha. This Mishna Berura is saying, Lechatchila, do not take out a Sefer Torah that the Tagim are not connected. Now, I would say like this. That's if you have two Sifrei Torah on a regular Shabbos, and one has Tagim that are connected, and one has Tagim that are not connected. Don't take out the Tagim that are not connected. But now you have a Shaila, you're in a shul, and it's Yom Tif, and you need a second Sefer, and it's a shtickle tircha de tzibura to use one Sefer, because you're going to have to roll it, A. And B, it's not great for morale of the shul that you have one Sefer. Nobody wants to go to... So, yesh ladun, whether that's considered b'diavad, and you'd be able to take out a Sefer that the Tagim are not connected. Again, Mishna Berura definitely says it's not chachila, but there is a shita Ramami Pano that it is good, b'diavad. So, it requires she'elas chacham, what is considered a situation of b'diavad, to take out an old Sefer. Okay. One more. Nohagu l'tayeg oisiyos acheros. B'tfilin oisiyos acheros milvad elu. V'hem muskarim b'Torah b'shem hashimush rabba u'v'shem harama. V'hatagin ha'elu hem taginim gedolim. These tagim are big ones. Achshiu dakim, they have to be thin, not to ruin the letter. You know what? It's interesting. In this picture one, they have a special picture just for these 3 lines of the Mishna Berura, Parsha, where there are other letters. So, for example, on the Parsha of Ba'avur Zeh Asa Hashem Li, on the Yud, the minhag is to put a Tagim. Or on the Lama'an, you have 2 Tagim on one side of them, 2 on the other. Or a Tairas, you have Tagim. Seems like there are many Tagim on Tefillin. They're big, but they need to be thin. They're big, but they need to be thin. Shlo yiskaku oisar dezeh. Uma'od tzarich lizar b'yoyser b'tagim she'al havav or she'al hayud. Why? Ki bekal yishtane ha'ois. Very easily, the letter will change. Here, let's look over here on this picture. The tagim on the vav or the yud. You know, if you put tagim, then it can mamish change the letter. Al yedei zeh. Okay, fine. We'll hold it over here. Okay, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bracha v'atzlacha. Have a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.